Hey folks, welcome back to Dig Drive DIY. Well, it's just August still, but there's already a definite chill in the air, especially in the mornings. And for those of us that burn firewood for our heat source, that's a signal. It means you need to start getting ready and you need to think about the upcoming burn season. For me, there's no exception either, because this year we're going to have a big change. This is our Crown Royal Stove 7400. We've been burning it for 18 years and it has served us well. Really no complaints, it's never let us down. But it's time for a change. I think we've got a good solution that'll be beneficial for us. But before I can do that, I got to get this thing out of here. I got to disconnect the lines, the electric, drain the water, and hopefully pick it up and move it on out of here. But while we're in the middle of doing that, I thought I would treat you to a glimpse into a fine American manufacturing facility. We're going to go up to Greentech Manufacturing in International Falls, Minnesota, and I want to show you exactly how these stoves are built. I got to meet the fine folks up there. Well, maybe even more confident in my decision to do exactly what we're going to do. So there's a lot to get done. There's a lot to show you. There's some heat in the tools, hopefully, and well, I need to get busy.
Dig Drive DIY.
So yes, this stove has been here since 2007. Somewhere along the lines, we redid the slab. I picked the stove up, disconnected it, and we bored a new line out to the shop. So this stove heats our house, the garage, and my 36 by 56 shop. So we've got an underground pipe that goes down into the basement of our house, underneath the floor of the basement, as a matter of fact. And then we have a line that we had bored from here underneath this building behind me and over to my shop. I need to get the water drained out of this, obviously, so it's not as heavy. And then we'll have to disconnect it and lift the stove off the pipes that are coming through the ground. So I'm hoping, the backhoe won't have any trouble picking it up. I just got to be able to get it high enough to get it off the lines. Gonna have to move the plants out of the way. But here's the majority of the work for today. It's not too bad, but we've got an electrical that we need to disconnect from here. Hopefully, I don't think the conduit is glued in, but we'll get that out. Then we can shut off these ball valves, remove the pump and this flange, and then we need to remove this from the stove up here on both sides. We got two sides. And then basically we got to thread these through the holes in the floor. There's probably a very good likelihood that this stove will hopefully serve someone else in the future beyond me, so I'm not going to chop it up. It's still working perfectly fine. No issues with it, so it'll probably move on down the road to somewhere else. So we're going to keep it as intact as possible and not damage anything. We'll start getting things disconnected, but I need to drain the water. That's the most important thing right now. So I've got to find the bung in the bottom and then get something set up that we don't make a gigantic wet hole right here. All right, I went over to the shop and I just happened to find this laying on the shelf, which I think should thread in there, and then I can just put a hose on there easily. Oh, it's gonna come out of there. It's already leaking, holy cow. So I'm gonna shut off the lines. That way we don't drain the water lines going to the shop and the house. Oh shoot, I wasn't ready. Jeez. Okay. Perfect. All right, my temporary plumbing is intact. Open her up. Make sure she's running over here to the drain. All right, well, that thing is draining now. I think it's going to take a good little while, but that'll give me a chance to get the water lines unhooked, to get the electric disconnected, and then hopefully we can take the backhoe and pick this thing out of here. I don't know. It's going to be kind of interesting, but it also gives us an opportunity to talk about how this all got started. So last year I was kind of on a pursuit to try to figure out ways I could burn less firewood. I'm kind of a one-man band. I mean, my dad helps me and my family helps me too, but for the most part I'm responsible for finding all the firewood, getting things cut and split, and especially feeding the stove every day. It takes a lot to heat the house, the garage, and the shop. So one of the things I had thought about was burning coal. This stove is capable of doing it, but I had never tried it, so I wanted to learn more, and I just happened to be at the Fort Wayne Farm Show last January. Crown Royal was there in their booth, and I actually got a chance to meet Keith, who is the former owner and the person that started this business of building these Crown Royal stoves. Keith gave me some great pointers and suggestions and told me basically what I needed to know in order to burn coal in this stove. And I tried it. It worked great. Coal is a great alternative if you have it readily available and it's easy to get and inexpensive for you. Unfortunately for me, in my situation and the availability of what coal there is here, it's an expensive alternative. So while it worked well, it was going to be really too costly for me to justify it. So as much as I wanted that to work, I don't think it's going to, which made me start trying to think about other alternatives. So through meeting Keith, I had a chance to meet his son Ryan. We decided to strike up a partnership, basically an agreement where we'd trade out this stove and try something new. And long story short, he invited me and the family up to International Falls, which is the ice box of the nation, by the way. Very cold up there. Perfect place to be designing, building, and testing outdoor wood boilers. But we went up to International Falls, and I got the full tour of Greentech Manufacturing. Hey, you know what, Ryan, before we get started, I did have some questions about the business in general.
Sure.
You know? So I've met your dad at the Fort Wayne Farm Show, and so tell me a little bit about the company and the history of the business, if you would.
Well, it's family owned and operated. It has been. My father, Keith, started the business in 2004. He started as a distributor for a company, setting dealerships up across North America, and then found a need for a different design, more efficient product, better quality, better build quality, and decided to go into the manufacturing process of it. And in 2011, my sister, my spouse, and her husband purchased the business from Keith, and we brought all of the manufacturing in-house, and now we do everything start to finish, from plate steel to damper plates and door frames. We do everything.
So everything we're going to see in the factory is the stove being built start to finish, basically.
Yep.
Raw materials, and then a painted, finished stove comes out the other end.
Everything is done right here.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
And it's impressive to me that it's still a family-owned business.
It is.
This is a 409 stainless raw material.
This is the very beginning. This is, the sheets get unloaded off the semi and get hauled in and placed here. This is the very, very first thing. Set the sheet into place, and it starts cutting our fireboxes and water jackets.
So can you explain to me just real quickly why is 409 stainless the choice? I mean, mild steel would corrode too quickly.
Well, I mean, left untreated, mild steel is not a terrible option. 409 is just a better option because you get very good expansion and contraction property. You get good thermal efficiency. So it's not like a 304 where you're having a hard time transferring that heat into your water, but you get rust prevention. You know, so with properly treated water, 409 stainless steel will last decades.
So you use the plasma cutter to cut the big stuff.
Yep.
Those are the big parts, and now you've got a laser, which is what's the difference between the laser and the plasma?
Well, you're going to get more precise part. It can't cut the larger sheets like the plasma can. So the fireboxes and water jackets have to be cut on the plasma because of just the dimensional size of them. The laser cutter is going to give you a better quality cut. So anything that you can touch or feel or see that doesn't get a weld over it, a laser is a much better option because it looks better, it's cut better, and then being precise. So you put a bolt. If you've got a 5/8 hole, you can put a 5/8 bolt in it. It's perfect every time.
Gotcha.
Where a plasma cutter can get a curve to it. Sometimes you have to oversize your holes on a plasma, where a laser is very, very precision cutting technology. Yep.
So do you have just the one laser, one plasma, and
One laser. Yep.
Gotcha.
And this can be run unmanned. So when we're busy, this will go 24 hours a day. It's got a sheet lifter, so it'll pick the sheet up. It'll deliver the sheet to the bed. It'll drop the cut components off, and then it will go back to cutting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I noticed a lot of overhead cranes. You don't have to manhandle any of this stuff around, or?
Nah, we try not to.
Yeah.
As little as possible.
I can see where that would get real old fast.
Overhead cranes they're nice in the booths and in the bays. Obviously forklift traffic when you're going from station to station.
Yep.
You know, like right now he's putting the firebox together, getting it ready for the robot. After that happens, it's going to go to the robot, get welded, then it'll head over to air test that we haven't seen yet.
Yep.
It'll be air tested, and then it'll be back into this bay to have the water jacket put on it. Then it gets robotically welded, and then back to air test.
Oh, wow.
So there is a fair amount of moving around.
Yeah.
And a lot of that in-shop movement is done by forklift.
All right, so we've got the raw stainless coming in. We've seen the laser cutter cutting steel, mild steel.
Yep.
This looks to be like one of the coolest things in here, if I'm being honest.
It's pretty cool. It's a two-cell welding robot.
Welding robot.
And Alex is the man. I'm going to let him talk to you.
All right, well, Alex, tell me, what all does this do?
Well, after the tackers in the welding department get the stove assembled, we'll put it in the jig. The jig runs on a rotisserie, which in turn, it can weld while the jig is turning, so it's got that coordinated motion. It uses touch sensing to find where to start welding and where to end, and it uses seam tracking to stay in the seam while it's welding. And it's using voltage readings to find that seam. So it all works together essentially to get the end product, which is what we call basically a perfect weld. It's a pulse welder. It uses Lincoln welder, but the robot is made by Fanuc. This robot is equipped with seam tracking, and the way this seam tracking works is it takes voltage readings as the robot is welding. And you noticed when you were watching the robot how it's weaving.
Yeah, really awesome.
So it's taking 3 voltage readings every single time it weaves. It's taking one on a vertical plane and on a horizontal plane by catching and figuring out what the voltage is in the middle of the weave and on both sides of the weave. So that's how it figures out how the distance that it's at away from the part and where it's at on a vertical plane.
So, but did you program the path for it? Like, is the path predetermined, or is it figuring out where to go on the fly?
So everything is programmed with points, but because there's variation in the stove, that's where that seam tracking takes over, and it can actually move those points. So I can program a point that could be 3 or 4 inches off in the middle of that weld. Say I program it 3 inches above the actual seam, and then the last point is 2 inches below. But it knows what the distance of that weld is because of those points. Once that seam tracking kicks in, then it takes over. Those points almost don't even matter anymore.
Well, Alex, that's more than I've ever cared to know about robots, but it's super interesting.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I did. Thank you so much.
Yes, you're welcome.
All right, so this is a pretty big quality control thing right here, right?
This is probably the most important overall process of everything.
This is an air test.
This is an air test.
You put it under pressure to make sure that it's going to be able to hold water.
Yes, and this is the second air test. The water jet or the firebox has already been air tested and passed. It went back through welding. It got the water jacket and the front and back plate on it. Corey just added all the air test fittings to it.
Yep.
He's going to flip it over and he's going to put 6 pounds of pressure in it for 36 hours.
36 hours it sits under pressure
Under
to make
pressure.
sure it doesn't leak.
Yep.
That's impressive. Wow.
You've got to be ahead. We need, because you can run out of this. If we run out of this, then everything, paint, final assembly, nobody has work. So we always have to be ahead because we let them sit on air for so long. We've caught it before where the tiniest leak may not show its face for 12, 14, 16 hours.
No kidding.
So it's super important.
So he's got the pipes plugged up with rubber stoppers. He's got a rubber cap on the vent on the top. Got that plugged up. So you're testing the water jacket right now. Firebox is already done, and now the water jack's being tested. So this is the reason why, one of the reasons that you can offer a 20-year warranty.
That's
because
correct.
of this kind of thing right here.
Yep. Just the added processes we do, the 36-hour test. If you've noticed, we triple pass all our door frame corners so that, as expansion and contraction happens on our door frames,
you triple pass that corner just to gusset that corner to make that corner stronger, and it's just the very little things that people don't see that we go above and beyond, that we feel confident that it's a 20-year warranty, but there's a lot of boilers that are over 20 years in the field operating right now.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this will easily, if the water's taken care of and the boiler's properly cleaned at the end of the season, you'll get 30, I wouldn't even be surprised, 40 years on the system.
Well, and we talked off camera, and I said that was one of the biggest reasons why I bought my first Royal stove.
Yeah.
Was that it had the long warranty.
Right.
And here we are. So
Exactly.
that's awesome. Well, thanks, Corey. So this is the acid?
This is phosphate acid wash. So right now he's just giving the floor a quick clean. So if there was anything over by the drain, it's not going to splash up on the parts.
Gotcha.
And then he'll start to wash the part.
So everything that comes off the plasma or the laser, all the raw materials get washed.
Yep.
And that makes sure that the powder coat sticks?
Yep. Any oil that's been either applied at the smelting facility where they melt the steel, or any human touch oil, skin oil, sweat on hot days, all that has to come off.
Yeah.
So after it's been acid washed, so all the mill scale and all of the oil is off the material, then it goes into a powder coat booth. The powder coat is applied. After the powder coat's applied, it's going to roll into the oven and it's going to bake for, depending on the part. These parts are going to go in for 20 minutes at about 400 degrees. It's going to come out of the powder coat booth, and within 10 minutes of it cooling, you can handle it. It's cured.
Really?
Yeah. So unlike liquid paint, where liquid paint may be 3 days or 2 days, or depending on the humidity in the building, this is an instant part we can put on the boiler immediately.
Wow.
You just have to be able to handle it, the heat, the touch.
Yeah.
You have to be able to hold it.
Wow. That's cool.
And it's a really cool process. Just it sticks to the metal from static electricity, so the parts are grounded, and he's just applying the powder.
The powder just is attracted to the metal. Then.
Yep.
Wow.
These components here, he's already done. So he'll roll all this into the oven.
Here's a finished product out of the oven. Right?
Yep, this is all
The caps, roof cap. Oh, here's floats. These were raw when we walked through before.
Yep.
They're all done already. All right, so we've kind of been through the whole process. We started in on assembly.
just got into assembly. And so this looks like a time-intensive part of the. This is.
Is it?
Yeah. This is where all the doors are going to go on. Stove is going to get wired. All the electronics are going to go in it. The blowers are going to go on it. The insulation, the vapor barrier, exterior cladding, roof panels, chimneys. This one here is a 7500. This is a large commercial unit.
All right, so here's the back of the unit. These are the fans. Another fan. So these are water lines.
1.25 inch stainless steel. There's 4 supply and 4 returns on the back of this boiler.
Same door mechanism as mine.
Yep.
Look at the door on this thing. Jeez. Holy cow. You can stick a whole pallet in there.
Yeah, the door, it'll take a standard 48 by 40 pallet laying flat. People will stack their, if it's at a sawmill, a lot of people will take like used pallets with either their dunnage or their scrap or their end cuts, and they'll load them up and forklift them in.
And leave the pallet on there?
Leave the pallet in there.
Just
Let it
burn
burn.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
Man, I was kind of kidding, but they really do load it, the whole pallet in
Yeah, you can machine load this one with a pallet.
Jeez.
2 sets of shaker grates.
Yeah.
2 ash pans. And then of course it's got the multi-pass heat exchanger.
Okay. I was going to say, that's for the taller customers?
That is for the taller customers. Or a ladder for the short customers.
Yeah.
That's all water filled.
How many gallons of water does this hold?
620 gallons.
Heat exchanger?
The smoke comes from the back of the first pass, the bottom pass.
Yeah.
Comes all the way front, does a 90-degree turn all the way to the back, and then out the exhaust.
Wow. It draws all its air through that?
Yep.
So this one you still got to install the actuator components yet?
Yep.
Yep.
And so you guys design all the components yourself in-house too? Or?
Yes. All the brackets, everything is designed in-house.
So this component right here has a pretty critical job.
Very
right?
important.
Really?
This is on our pristine line of boilers, which is the downdraft gasification boilers. It's a negative pressure system. This gets hooked onto an electric motor, heavy-duty electric motor, and when it spins, it pulls combustion air in for the primary combustion and the secondary combustion. So this, and it's in the path of smoke, heat, so it's taking some abuse. So this is also designed out of stainless steel.
Yep.
And this is one of the components that we do not build here. There's a company, we design the wheel, they build it for us, but they have the balancing capabilities, which we do not. And this has to be perfectly balanced because it's spinning at 3450 RPM.
Jeez.
So there's no wobble when this is running. If there is, it can damage, it can break, it can blow apart, and then
right.
you're out, because when this turns, it's delivering the oxygen needed.
Yeah.
It's the life support to the boiler.
That's incredible that one component can have such an important role
Right.
in how the boiler functions.
Exactly.
And it's really interesting that they're balanced, and that also I'm guilty of not thinking that a boiler could be very sophisticated or
Yeah.
complicated, but there is just a ton of design and technology in these things. I'm learning it all right now, but
More and more every year.
yeah. All right, well, I think we got to pretty much see every facet of the fabrication process,
Yep.
right? Raw components to a finished stove, and right here's a bunch of them, but I'd like to show people, your product line, if you don't mind. Can we
Yep.
go out and see some finished
We can.
stoves?
We'll walk out to the stove lot and we'll take a look at all the models.
All right, sweet. Here's the 7500s.
We try to build them this time of year, just so they're done, because they're so big. They clog up. They really do. They clog up our factory, and it slows everything down. It's a slower process. It's heavier. It's more cumbersome.
Man, oh man. This puts it in a little bit different perspective, Ryan.
Yeah.
So this stack of stoves here, how many months of work does this constitute?
Well, it all depends on model and size. If on the smaller models, we can build about 11 a day. On the larger models, we can build about 2.5 to 3 a day. That doesn't really reflect on what our best seller is, because we build them in lots. So if we just finished up, let's say, a 7400E run, we're gonna have a lot of them sitting here.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean they're the most popular seller, because we might be just starting a 73 MP run, and they just haven't come through the factory yet.
So how many products do you have? What else? You make
there's-
obviously an outdoor wood boiler, but what variations of it, and what else do you do?
There's a couple different models. So we've got the pristine line of boilers, and that has 3. A 72E, a 73E, and a 74E. So that's a downdraft gasification boiler. So you should be burning well-seasoned wood, but it's going to cut your wood consumption down 50%. Wow. At least 50%.
I like this.
We've heard 60% from some customers. It basically, you load that firebox, and it's basically baking and torrefying that wood, releasing a gas. That gas is compressed, goes through a nozzle, injected with air, and it recombusts a second time. Wow. Goes through a set of heat collection tubes, and then out the chimney, virtually smoke-free or smokeless.
Wow.
Yeah, and then the multi-pass line, that is a really unique line, especially in the East Coast, because it's perfect for burning coal. They can load it up with coal where coal is readily available.
Yep.
Here in Minnesota, we don't have any, so most everybody's a wood burner around here.
So the MP or multi-pass model is more of a conventional style like what I've got already,
Correct.
right?
Yep. It's almost identical to what you have right now, other than we added a heat exchanger. So where yours has a damper bypass and that clean out tray on top of the water-filled heat exchanger tubes, this has that, and it works the same path as yours does for the exhaust, but then it enters into a triple pass water-filled heat exchanger. So it comes in the back of the stove, comes all the way forward, turns 90 degrees, goes all the way back, and then out the chimney. So even though it's a conventional stove, it's still going to be about 20 to 25% more efficient than the one you're operating right now, the 7400.
It's amazing how much things have changed even in just the 17 or 18 years since I bought mine.
Yeah, it's,
you know,
it's just the technology, everything that is coming out, and the more all the manufacturers learn. We all burn wood because we like the lifestyle, I think. At least I do.
Sure.
But there's nothing wrong with making it a little easier.
Yeah. You know, I've been cutting wood the same way that my dad did, and for a long, long time. And as I get older, I want to make things easier on me. And that, to me, like you said, you could burn possibly 50% less wood. That just seems like a no-brainer to me. But those boilers are a little bit more complicated and sophisticated, so they require a little bit more
knowledge and training. And that's it. As long as I had the same boiler you do. I had a 7400, and then I transitioned into a 7400 MP. I decided to go to gasification. I went to gasification. The first year, it was a learning curve because it was, you know, you pick it up, you throw it in, you close the door, you walk away on a 74 or a 7400 MP. I ended up, you know, slipping on some ice, hurting my back. I put in a 7400E. I immediately noticed 50% reduction in wood.
Really?
And what I found is it was so much easier once I had a mindset to just dry my wood one season. Once I had that figured out, my mindset and my mind was made up, I was 1 year ahead on wood. So instead of 12 cords, I could cut 12 cords, but then I was done cutting wood for 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, and they're a little smaller, they're easier to use. Another big thing that a lot of people don't talk about with gasification boilers is they're about 99.9% combustion efficiency. So when you put in 100 pounds of wood, there is virtually nothing left other than talcum powder. So with your 7400, maybe you get, I'm just making this up because I don't know, but 2 skid loader buckets full of ash in the spring, and as you're cleaning up.
Oh, definitely.
This you're going to get like 12 to 15 gallons maybe, and it's going to be talcum powder. It's pretty impressive.
Well, the trash man's going to appreciate that.
Yeah.
or the area around my house in the field.
Exactly.
You know? But, wow.
Yeah. I personally, I like gasification so much, I wouldn't make the switch back to a multi-pass. It would be very tough for me. And but everybody has a different mindset and mentality, and some people still really enjoy the multi-pass.
Well, Ryan, thank you so much for the tour.
You.
This is a great facility. It just really puts into perspective how much effort and energy and thought goes into something that you would otherwise think is a simple...
simple design, simple, easy.
And it isn't.
It's not.
There's a lot more to it.
A lot of components and a lot of drafting, a lot of engineering.
Yeah, unbelievable.
I really enjoyed your time today, Neil.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate the hospitality and getting to see everything.
All right.
Looking forward to it. Thanks so much.
Yep.
And well, we're just going to go back home and wait, I guess. But we got the rest of International Falls to go tour and see. All right, how about that? How awesome was it to get to see an American company manufacturing something right here using domestically sourced materials, and it was just really inspiring for me. I'm glad to see that American manufacturing is alive and well, and they make a terrific product. There was a lot of things that you actually didn't see as well. We didn't even go into the amount of testing that they do to make sure that they're meeting emission standards, and there's just a lot of stuff that goes into these stoves, and it really opened my eyes as to how much technology and thought and process goes into it. So I'm even more confident in my decision to go with another new Crown Royal stove. The only catch is that you're not going to know what it is until it shows up. So I'm going to leave you with that. You're going to have to come back to see what we get, see how it gets hooked up, and what the new process is going to be. Otherwise, we got to finish up on this one right here. I got to get it out of here. So I'm going to check to see if the water's done running, and then we'll try to get it out of here. All right, that only took it about 3 hours to drain, maybe a little less, but I've got everything disconnected from the stove. So the electric, I had to unwire it from the box and then pull the conduit and the wire out the bottom of the stove. That was really easy. Then I disconnected the water lines that were going to the house from the bottom of the pump. Same with the water line going to the shop. That's disconnected at the pump itself. And then these up here, these are all hard plumbed in, and there's no way really to turn this off of here effectively. Chances are when we get the new stove, it's not going to be exactly the same in terms of where everything's going to connect. So we'll just make do when we figure out what the new situation is. But now I think we're finally ready to try to pick this up and get it out of here. All right, well, this is weird. The stove being out of here certainly feels awkward, but this is going to be really exciting. So next week sometime, I expect the delivery of the new stove. We're going to get it set, plumbed up, and I assume we'll try it out to make sure that it at least circulates water and functions. And then I'll have a lot of learning to do. There's a steep learning curve with what the stove I'm getting. Most of you can probably guess what it is, but we can learn it together because I have no experience with one. Don't know anyone that's got one of these, so I'm moving into uncharted waters here. But I'm excited about it, and I'm even equally excited that you're here to follow along. So thanks so much for clicking on this video. I hope you liked it, and if I'm lucky, I'll see you in the next one. You know, I got a little bit of an indentation here in the yard from the backhoe. It'd be really nice if we had a way to